Hi, it's Lois here with part 1 of my Gimp and Facebook cover and profile image tutorial. A problem I encountered was that after creating some really cool images, well, they were cool to me anyway, Facebook went and shoved stuff over the top of them. This one was ruined, and my favourite cover image was destroyed, especially with the links hiding my text. I had to rework that one right away. In doing so, I devised a way to create a template to help me get my cover images to work with the new layout. I then decided I'd love to share this with the world, but realised I'd probably only be sharing it with well-seasoned image editors. No, not that kind of seasoning. Sorry about that. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, I ended up designing a 6-part tutorial to aid the complete novice in getting to grips with Gimp, which is a fantastic editor that easily competes with the best out there, and it's free. So if you've never worked with an image editor before in your life, you can now learn how at no cost whatsoever, and at the same time create some great cover and profile images for your Facebook pages. Hope you find them useful. Right, to start with, I'll just run through the layout and dimensions of the cover image and all the stuff that sits over the top of it. That's as it is now in May 2014, but if it changes again, you can just make a new template. You may not need all this information, but any of it could come in useful depending on what designs you have in mind. The size of the image you want to upload for your timeline cover is 851 pixels by 315. I doubt you'll really mind the major obstruction, which is your own profile pic. It's displayed as a 160 pixel square image, but Facebook recommends that you upload an image of at least 180 by 180. Whatever you do, make sure it's a square image you upload to avoid any distortion. And then Facebook adds a 4 pixel border around the image. The profile pic is placed 16 pixels in from the left-hand edge of your cover image, which leaves 667 pixels to the right. Another point you may want to bear in mind is that not all of the cover image is displayed to the visitor on first load. The top 161 pixels are hidden from view until the user scrolls up to see the rest, leaving just 154 pixels immediately on view. And on top of this, you need to consider the bar at the bottom, where Facebook now puts our name and the friends and message links, etc. So now we're left with quite a limited area for any text you want to be on immediate view to anyone arriving at your page. I recommend that if you do want a saying, or even more importantly, any business info on immediate view, you want to restrict it to an area of 632 pixels by 92 pixels. This will line up nicely with the bar at the bottom and the top of your profile image. You can pause the video here to take a copy of this if you feel you need it, but don't worry, because I'm going to show you how to make a really useful template to simplify things. Okay, let's get started. I'm assuming here that you have Gimp installed already. If not, and you're not sure about it, then pause this video and go and check out my beginner's basic Gimp tutorial. There I'll show you where to go to download the program, how to install it, and then set it up so it looks like mine to make it easier for you to follow this tutorial. Okay, we're going to open Gimp. We're going to go to File and then New. And this is how to open a new blank file. And then we can set the size of the new file. Now you can see the px there, which means that at the moment we're setting the size in pixels. But if you click on that, you'll get a drop-down list with other options. So if you wanted to design a greetings card, for example, you could set the size in centimeters, and the finished image will then print out at the right size for your project. We're going to use pixels and enter 851 for the width and 315 for the height. This gives us an image that is the right size for the cover image for Facebook, and all we're going to do now is fill it with black. Now you don't have to do this, but if you upload a cover image and profile image in plain black very briefly to your Facebook account, it will make it a lot easier for the next stage of creating the template. So if you look over to the panel on your right, the quickest way to get black or white is to click the little icon there. And then we're going to use the bucket tool. Just click on the bucket tool and then click in the image, and it will fill with the foreground colour, which is now black. And now we're going to save that image, and to do that we use the file menu again. Here I need to point out that if you use save or save as, that you might be used to using in most programs, the image can only be saved as an XCF file. This format saves all the original and editable information such as layers, which we'll get to shortly, and can only be opened with Gimp. So we need to use the export feature here instead. With the export feature we can save the image in the JPEG, PNG or GIF format. That will produce an image that we can upload to Facebook and can be shared with others and will open in most image viewers and editors. Either the Save As or Export options will open a dialog box where you can navigate to the folder where you want to save the image. As you can see here, I've created a temporary folder and called it Black Masks just for this task, which I can delete when we're finished. Okay, I saved the last image as a JPEG and I'll leave that for this one. If yours says PNG, just change that to JPG for this image. I'm going to call it 851 by 315 using the letter X on the keyboard obviously, and then I click on export. Then I get the JPEG dialog box. I'm pushing up to 100% here. There's no need here for this image, but it's habit. I always save at the best quality unless I need the image to have a smaller file size, which has far less call for these days. Then we click export once more here, and the image is now saved as a JPEG. Then you want to repeat all those steps to create another black image to upload as a profile pic. So, did you pause the video and follow the reminders to make your second image, or did the funny tune keep you watching through to this point? Well, because our image was just a simple block of colour, I'm now going to quickly show you a shortcut. Please don't be angry with me. The practice is good to get you more comfortable with Gimp. What we could have done instead is just go to Image, Scale Image, and make sure this little gizmo here is separated. When it isn't separated, the aspect ratio of the image will be preserved. So we'll click and separate it, and then type in the 180 for both the width and height. Click Scale, and there's your image to export. If you didn't create your image yet, go back and do it from scratch, because I doubt that we'll be using the File New option again in the tutorial, and if you do it twice, you're more likely to remember it for future projects. Right, let's upload these images to Facebook and then we can get started on creating the template, where you'll learn a few more exciting bits about the program. As this is a complete beginner's tutorial, I'm going to assume that some viewers won't know how to upload the cover and profile image to Facebook, so I'm going to quickly cover that now. But remember that this is as it is now in May 2014, and Facebook does have a habit of regularly changing stuff. If you put your mouse anywhere in the cover image area, the little change cover button will appear. When you click on that button, you get 4 options. The Choose from My Photos option is what you would use if you wanted to use an image that you'd already uploaded and it's already in your cover photos album on Facebook. We're going to select Upload Photo. That will open a dialog box for you to navigate to where you stored your image. You then want to click on the 851 by 315 image, and it will be imported as your cover image. The reposition option is just for when you have uploaded a larger image, which hopefully you will no longer be doing. So all there is to do is click on Save Changes. For the profile image, Facebook has for some reason recently included a little camera icon that others don't see when they come to your page. If you hover your mouse over any part of the profile image, you will see Update Profile Picture. Click in that dark area, select Upload Photo, navigate to the picture or the folder that you've got your picture in, select the 180 by 180 image, and it will load as your profile image. Right, now we can get on with creating that template I've been banging on about. We need to take a screenshot of the Facebook page with the plain black images up there. And to do this, you just need to use the print screen key on your keyboard. Just make sure your page is scrolled up to the top and then hit that key on your keyboard. Now you can delete those images so that your friends don't think you've totally lost it. Just click on the Photos link below your cover image, then click on Albums at the top of the page, and then you're going to navigate to the Profile Pictures album and then the Cover Photos album respectively. Just mouse over the black images and a little pencil icon will appear at the top right of the image, and you can just click that to delete it. And now we'll open Gimp again, and we need to import the screenshot we just took. For that, we're going to use File, Create, and then from Clipboard. We only want that black cover image, so we're going to use the rectangle select tool, which is up here. In the tool options, we want to make sure that none of these 4 boxes here are checked. We'll be dealing with some of those later in the tutorial. A quick reminder here that if you don't have Gimp set up the way mine is, I explain how to set it up this way in my beginner's basic Gimp tutorial. And if you don't see the Tool Options tab, just click on this little arrow here and select Add Tab and then Tool Options. Right, we want to go roughly around the cover image like this. Then we need to copy that selection, and to do that we go to Edit and Copy. And then we want to open that image, so again we use File, Create from Clipboard. Now we can get rid of that very large image just to save on computer memory. Just click on the X here and then select Close without saving. Now we want to get just the cover image out, so we want the rectangle select tool again, and we'll trace a little bit more closely around the cover image like this. And then zoom in. So we're going to go to 400%, which we can do down at the bottom of the Gimp window here. And now we can see to select the area really accurately before we copy it. Then we'll go back to 100% before we copy that selection and then open it up as a new file. And again we can get rid of the old file. The next step is to check the size of the new selection, because here size does matter, and we can do this by using Image, Scale Image. And you'll probably notice here that you have the expected 851 for the width, but 314 for the height rather than 315 that we were expecting. This is because for some unknown reason Facebook hides the top row of pixels. Now remember how if we separate this little chap here we end up without the aspect ratio being preserved? The problem with doing that in this case is that although the aspect ratio won't be preserved and we would be able to add our extra pixel to the height, with the scale image option we'll be altering the height of the whole image, including the name, the links, the border of the profile image. So what we want instead is image canvas size. This option will allow us to increase the canvas but leave the actual image intact. So we'll make sure this little icon is separated. It should be separated by default, but if not, click to separate it. And then we're going to change the 314 to 315. Then click on center, and using the mouse just drag the image down. You won't see anything because we're only talking about 1 pixel here, but this ensures that the extra pixel will be added to the top and not the bottom of the image. Then just click on resize. And now I'm just going to take it to 800% just so I can show you. I'm going to scroll the image up here and I can show you that the extra pixel added is at the top, and you can see that there. Now we want to use the select by color tool, which is up here. What this does is select all the parts of any image by color according to where in the image you click. The higher the threshold, the greater the range of colors will be that are selected. Mine's set to 59, so set yours the same or very similar. To do that, you can either highlight the number and type in what you want, or you can use these little up and down arrows here. We're going to select all the white areas of our image, and we need this higher threshold because they're not pure white, since Facebook places a shadow gradient over the bottom of the cover image. Now you want to click in one of the white areas like this, and as you can see, they've all been selected. Do stop to have a play around here if you like. Set the threshold a lot lower and click at first in the bottom of one of the areas as I just did, and then at the top of the profile image border, and this will give you a better understanding of how this tool works. Now we want to copy the selection. Edit, copy. Here it's important to leave the areas selected whilst we paste the selection over the top as a new layer. So we then use edit and paste. And you'll see in the left hand pane another layer marked floating selection. We now need to make it into a new layer. To do that, right click on it and select to new layer, and you will see that the floating selection labels disappeared. If you click on these little eye icons, the layers become invisible. So here's our new pasted layer, and if I toggle the visibility of the original layer, you can see that we've got a copy of the white parts of the image pasted in just the right position. That's because we left the areas selected whilst we pasted it in. If we hadn't done that, this smaller area would have been pasted in the center of the original image. Now, as it's the new layer that's selected, which you can see because it's blue, you can see the outline of the layer, which is much smaller than the original image. If we deleted the original layer, our image would be too small for the purpose, so we'll just make it invisible and leave it where it is. Now you can hardly see it here, but there's a tiny bit of that camera icon left at the bottom there, so we use the eraser tool to get rid of it. As you can see, there are lots of settings for the eraser in the Tools Options tab. Just make sure that the opacity is set to 100%. I'm using the brush with a hardness of 50. You might be better with the hardness of 100. Just click on this button and select it. It's the big solid black circle. And then set the size to 20 like mine. You're probably beginning to realize just how complex this program is, but please don't let it faze you at all. If you follow all 6 parts of this tutorial, you'll be happily using it, and you can explore the other features as and when you want to. And use Google to find out how to do anything specific. There really isn't much you'll be able to think of when it comes to graphics and photo editing that you can't do here. Right, we're just going to use the eraser tool to get rid of that little bit of white we don't want like this. I just want to quickly introduce you to the Fuzzy Select tool. Wonderful name, isn't it? In the Tools Options tab, the only things to worry about for this brief introduction is that the Feather Edges box is not ticked and the Select Transparent Areas is. Don't worry about any of the other options for now. Now, where the Colour Selection tool selects all areas of the colour of where you click on the image, you can see here that it's selected all the transparent areas in the new layer. The Fuzzy Selection tool can select a single area. We'll be visiting it again later in the tutorial. We're going to use the bucket tool, as we did when we created the plain black images, to fill the selected area, which is where our profile image goes, with black. Because the area is fully surrounded with the white border, we could have used the bucket tool without the use of the fuzzy select tool. Now we'll go to the edit menu, and I'm going to get you to remove it now so I can show you another option. You don't actually need to do this if you don't want, you can just watch. To get rid of the black we just added, we can use the undo option, where you can always undo your last step, or you can just use Control plus the Z key together on the keyboard like in other programs. Or, as the area is selected, we can also use the clear option on the menu, which will also take it out. And because the area is selected, another way to fill the area is to use the fill with foreground colour option on the edit menu. I just wanted to introduce the fuzzy select tool and highlight the fact that, as in other programs you may be used to using, there are often several ways to get the same task completed in Gimp. Once you're more used to using the program, you'll get used to which ways you prefer. And that's the template finished. All we need to do now is to save it. So that's File and Export, remember, not Save or Save As. And you'll see that the default name is highlighted, so you just need to type out the name you want for the file. I'm just going to call it Template. But we don't want to save this as a JPEG because that won't preserve the transparency. So we'll just take out the JPG and type in PNG. Then click on Export, make sure the compression level is set to 9 and click Export again. And that's it. You now have your template done. I like to make several copies of anything like this. It's unlikely that you'll lose the original when using it, but just in case, it's a good idea to have a few copies. So just go to the folder where you saved it. I did move mine out of the black mask folder. Right click on the file and select Copy, and then right click on the white space and select Paste. But going back to keyboard shortcuts, a far faster way to paste is to use the Control and the V key. So if you hold the Control key in, every time you hit V, another copy appears. If you don't use keyboard shortcuts, it's really worth getting to know a few for the tasks that you most often perform. And copy and paste is one of them. It's Control and C for copy. Okay, here's one of my favourite cover images, all about the area and the building that I live in. When I take the colour select tool here and click where I did the last time, you can see that quite a bit more than the areas I want are selected. You can see this even more clearly once I paste in a new layer and make the original one invisible. This isn't too much of a problem. I wouldn't use the eraser tool for this, I'd just use the rectangle select tool and use the delete key on my keyboard to take away the areas I don't want. But if there were very light areas around the name and the links, it may have been more of a problem. And just to reinforce the difference between the bucket fill tool and the fill with foreground colour under the edit menu, you can see that unless I erase all the stuff left inside this border, when I use the bucket fill tool, it just floods around them. But if I select the area and then use the fill with foreground option, it fills the whole selected area and wipes out whatever was already there. So you don't actually need to use a plain dark colour, but it does make things a lot simpler. And lastly, this is a screenshot I was working on earlier. If you keep your eyes on the links at the bottom right of the image, this is what my account looks like to someone who is a friend but isn't following me. And this is what it looks like to a friend who is. I usually use this template because the links are larger here. It's unlikely that you need your template to be this accurate, but if you do, you could ask a friend to take the screenshot and send it to you by email, or even set up a second account in order to get it. And that's it. I hope you're looking forward to part 2, where you will create your first custom cover image. Bye for now.